Happy Solar Eclipse Day, everyone! Or shall I say, Day of Black Sun. You know what that means. Time to put on your eclipse glasses.
Oh my god. Aviator
So,
glasses.
I know I'm indoors, but this light that's
This
in my
light.
room is bothering the hell out of me. So, throughout this entire episode, I'm coming at you live or
Mm,
pre-recorded or pre-recorded.
or pre-recorded. Oh, John. I know. I wish I had glasses.
I guess you're going blind, Matt.
Mm. All right. Well, as always, it is Matt and John, and we're going to be talking about um, how Team Avatar could have defeated the Fire Nation during the Day of Black Sun, with the plan they had. Everything is the same besides strategic elements. So Azula still knows about the the Black Sun, or the Black Sun, and that they're going to lose their powers. The Fire Nation's prepared just like normal, but how could Team Avatar have won the battle? So, Aviator John, how about you start us off? What do you think could have been a big component of them winning that day?
Yeah, well, first of all, call me Maverick, Tom Cruise, whatever you want to talk.
I'll
Call
call
me
you John Brick.
Javrick.
All right,
um,
John Brick, go ahead.
all right, so uh, how they could have won without the Avatar,
Mm-hmm. No,
without
with the Avatar, no, they would still
with
have
the
Aang.
Avatar.
Yeah, they would still have Aang. Everything would have been the same, but what additional what additional strategies could they have used, or additional people they could have used to
Mhm.
win?
Well, I'll start off with people.
Okay.
I I think they could have used Longshot and Smellerbee from Jet's Freedom Fighting Gang. Um, this one's a little out there, but Hama, even though she's an evildoer, she just wants revenge against the Fire Nation, and so you know that she's willing to put up a fight at her 100-year-old age, and she could bloodbend all the firebenders that come at her. I mean, she she'd probably like get rid of Azula.
Well,
Like
she wouldn't be able to blood bend the firebenders. It was during the day.
that's true of the full moon.
But
Yep.
she was a elite waterbender still, so she would have been very useful. But she wouldn't
Yeah,
have been able
that's
to
true.
bloodbend anybody.
That's right. No, just leave her in prison. Um, um, yeah, so there's long shot Smellerby,
Well, there's a problem about long snot and Smellerbee.
long shot, not
I
snout.
know. I know people go long snot. Um, well, they were most likely, I wouldn't say in jail, but Ba Sing Se was under Fire Nation rule, and they lived in
Hmm,
Ba Sing Se. So it's not
fair.
like they could just go into Ba Sing Se and be like, let's look for these friends of Jets, and we already kind of talked about in another previous episode that that city was probably, I mean, it was very big, so it's not like they could have just walked in the city and asked around.
True.
Yeah. So there's
I
two. There's
yeah.
two. How do you think maybe our one of our favorite characters, June, would have joined?
No, no. She's more of a loner and very independent. She didn't want to take sides at that time.
What about Boomy? Could they have rescued Boomy, or do you think
Uh,
he would
no,
have just
because it was still
continued?
technically under Fire Nation rule. Um, and the only way to really take Omashu back over was during the eclipse, which Boomy did.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it would have been a great addition, but just highly unlikely. Um, I think maybe personally. I mean, I would like to see a lot more of the Northern Water Tribe.
Yeah, yeah. The Northern Water Tribe didn't. You would have thought they would help. That's true.
Like, okay, Firebenders, you're invading us, and we're being put on defense in season one, and we hear about this. Actually, they probably didn't really hear about the solar eclipse, to be honest, because they were so secluded.
Who? The
Northern Water Tribe, they didn't know about the solar eclipse, right? I don't think they did.
Um,
I
no,
don't
I
think
mean,
they
no one
did.
knew. No, but remember, they went and traveled down to the
Yes.
south. So
Yes.
it would have actually have made sense for Katara to be like, yeah, my master, go get him, like back home,
Yeah.
go
Baku.
back
Yeah.
home and grab Paku and that crew. And yeah, that is something that is very interesting. They didn't grab Paku and all of them to help them out because
Yeah.
Paku
It's
was
like,
in the South Hold by them.
firebenders invade you in season one, and yet you don't want to retaliate. When the timing's right.
Hmm.
Okay, let's just grab some swamp benders. Let's grab hey Hugh, where you been?
Well,
And
also, also the Boulder and the Hippo joined, but
mm,
where did all the other um fighters?
right.
Why didn't they not come? Like that Gecko guy and a couple of the other ones. Why didn't they join?
Well, the Fire Nation man, we already know where his loyalty lies.
Yeah, he wouldn't have went. And then, I mean,
And Shin Fu was in the metal box with Master Yu.
well, what about our two tribes that everyone forgets about in the Great Divide episode, which would have
Mm.
helped make the Great Divide episode not a filler because you would have remembered those two tribes.
The only problem with that, and I actually wish they would have joined, to be honest, but they were on their way to Ba Sing Se as refugees, so therefore they would have never, because the Fire Nation took it over at the end of
So they
season
might have
one.
at that point already made it to Ba Sing Se, been in Ba Sing
Oh,
Se,
easily,
settled
yeah.
down, and then
Mm-hmm.
been taken over. Fair
Yeah,
enough. Um,
but I would have loved for them to. Oh, I actually would have, like, even though they no bending, they would have been great.
yeah, I mean, can we not think of anybody else that could have helped?
No, I mean we got well,
The fortune teller? Fortune
one of the
teller?
twins that could earthbend.
Yeah, one of the twins that could earthbend in. No, I mean that's very much. I think the one big point is Paku and his fleet that went down to help restore um the southern water tribe.
Yeah,
To, for them to know that the Katara clearly knew that, so she could have been like, "Hey, let's go find let's go not find let's go back home and get this crew together." Another one could have been, I forgot his name, but in episode one, the Avatar state of season two, um uh
like
Fong,
General Fong.
General Fong, they could have went there and been like, "Look, you want to win this war? Like, here we go. Here's the time."
Right.
Um,
He might have just gone insane though, because I think he was on he was on the brink of insanity.
I
Kind
think
of.
more
I'm
des- I
like
think more desperate.
no impulse control is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think Avatar shows a lot of characters that are desperate and and
Mhm.
how they react, and that was his like, Jet used revenge,
Right.
and like he obviously used like extreme, like his his ways were extreme because what he was saying was kind of right. It's like, oh wait, like why are we just waiting? Can't he just turn into a monster and like destroy the entire like Fire Nation? Like it's only a small
Mm.
islands.
Right.
So, I mean, like his mentality was semi right, but he just took it a little too far, like a lot of villains.
Right. I agree.
Um,
Um, do you
so
go ahead?
well, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna no, you go ahead.
No, no, you go ahead.
No, you
Um,
go
no, I was gonna say, the strategy itself. I think a big thing, a big part of the strategy, and I understand why they did this in the show, but when they burst in and they think it's going to be the Fire Lord, it ends up being Azula.
ahead.
I think if they brought it, it would have made more sense for them to say, okay, Sokka, you're leading the invasion. You stick on the ground with your father, help him as much as you can, but we're going to keep going. Katara, you're coming with us. You're a fighter. You're going to help us take on the Fire Lord, or at least when we need you to. Sokka, you can use the strategy, take over their entire kingdom, or their, their city, and it's interesting that they made Sokka join it, and I mean, maybe because the reasoning behind it was she was help healing the father, but she never really was. She was just walking him up the cliff. Um, but in reality, they probably didn't do it because Katara and Aang together and Toph together would have taken down
Right.
Azula. Yeah.
Another thing to think about too. I mean, I know I actually buy the healing argument just because you never know what could have happened if Katara wasn't there. In terms of like, yeah, she healed him like as best she could in the immediate moment, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying like while she was helping him up the cliff, if she wasn't there, who all variables aside, anything could have happened.
Yeah, he could have been attacked and gotten murdered or something.
Yeah, I mean he's
Yeah,
weak,
that's true.
so I mean it
Yeah,
makes to me that makes
she
sense to have
stayed
her.
back to heal / protect her father to make sure that
Yeah,
nothing happened to him. That's
right,
fair enough. I mean, you could have thrown him in one of those old tanks.
right.
And I thought it was interesting that like they didn't just destroy the city. Like they were like, all right, they're not in the city, and Aang just flew back. Like Aang could have probably in about 8 minutes, just like or 5 minutes, like wiped out that entire city with airbending. But
Yeah,
um,
that whole city could have been destroyed.
yeah, definitely.
Do you do
Um,
you th- do you think like uh um do you think oh my goodness. Whoops. Um
oh look, I like how I'm DC and you're Marvel.
dun 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 dun. Anyway, but yeah, I think what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was gonna say, do you think if Katara switched with Sokka, do you think like she would have like froze Azula and then like during the eclipse to like have her not get chased around for 10 to 15 minutes?
Well, they arrived. They arrived during the eclipse. That's why Zula didn't firebend it then. Like they arrived when the eclipse was already there. Aang burst through the doors, thinking the eclipse just started. Let me go ahead and face the Fire Lord now. And it was Azula. Um, I don't think she would have froze her. I mean, I think she would have still been agile, hard to get. Um, but I think it could have been easily Toph. You take on these two, you know, Dai Li agents, and Aang and Katara can probably 2-on-1 defeat Azula
Right.
if they wanted to. So where they couldn't really do that with like Aang wasn't able to catch her, and then Sokka wasn't much help, to be truly honest. So it is interesting how like Toph didn't just body these two benders, and then like that part was like I almost feel like they were trying to capture her, and if they just like were like let's just beat these two Dai Li agents and then go after her, they would have probably gotten her. But she was shifty.
Because she can steer
She's
their
a
feet
shifty one.
and Azula.
She what?
You're not Azula being shifty or Toph?
Yeah, she was shifty.
Oh yeah, I mean she's like one of the like she's like almost as good as Ty Lee when it comes to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Yeah.
which is pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm. Um.
Do you think they could
Who's?
have grabbed Suki? Oh wait.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, they didn't even know. Well, that's the thing. It's like it's interesting that they. I wonder if they knew if Suki was in jail, or because Sokka found out
Right.
then. But like they had to know. Like they dressed up as Kyoshi warriors. They couldn't. The father couldn't find Kyoshi
Well, they didn't know. They had no
warriors.
idea. Like when Sokka found out, the whole gang didn't find out.
Well,
Or
I'm
then,
saying I wonder. I wonder if there was a suspicion of like Azula. Like they knew Azula dressed up as the Kyoshi warriors, and they
not at that
also
moment. They didn't know.
yeah they did in season 2 they knew. They found out in season 2.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about like at that moment when they were getting Azula in season 3
Yeah, they did. They already knew that she
because of
dressed up
season 2.
as. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Before the invasion, like let's say right before they went to go invade, like the whole crew's together, and they're like, "All right, it's
Yeah.
time to let's go over the plans." Sokka, I wonder if Sokka was thinking to himself, "Well, we saw Ty Lee and May dressed up as Kyoshi warriors, and the Kyoshi warriors are not here right now. he most likely told his father to go find
Right.
the Kyoshi warriors. So I wonder if Sokka put that together or not. Obviously, he didn't, because when she said, "My favorite prisoner," used to mention you all the time whenever he freaked out. But it
Right.
is interesting to think that you would think that the Kyoshi warriors would be there to fight, and since they weren't there, and there was also the fact that Azula was dressed up as the Kyoshi warriors, you would think that one of the Team Avatar members would be like, something bad must have happened to them.
Right. No,
That's what I'm saying.
I don't disagree with that assumption. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I guess they
it's
weren't thinking about it.
and I mean they didn't even know that the Earth King like gave them all that information
Mm-hmm.
about, oh yeah, there's a plan to invade the Fire Nation this summer.
That they
Uh
didn't know. Yeah,
yeah, I mean they didn't know that the Earth King was gonna say so much. Though at the same time, like I guess it would be kind of expected to, but I mean
yeah. What a goon.
Earth I wonder what I'm very curious, like what was he doing during the eclipse? Like because
So
he
they
was
said he
wandering
was like,
around.
yeah, he was just wandering around the country. I mean, they wrote him off essentially. I mean, the guess I would say he probably west northwest. Pull up a map real quick.
Hmm. Oh my goodness! I can still see it through these sunglasses.
Oh yeah, I forgot you had that. So northwest of Ba Sing Se.
Hmm.
Uh huh.
I
Right.
see Northwest.
Wait. Let me. Right here. Right here. I think that's where he was.
Okay,
I think he went around here.
I see.
Yeah.
Cool. Good assumption. Good assumption.
I'm just guessing. I don't know where he went, but he probably went to one of those cities that you keep saying that Avatar World just didn't make on the map, and it's just there.
Or he went through the
Maybe he
Serpent's
maybe
Path and died.
maybe he went on the other side of the world, since that's only half the world, since the world's flat.
Or he went through the Serpent's Pass and died.
Oh, he didn't die.
Or maybe he went through
I
the
know you're gonna
Serpent's.
hate this, but he's in the comics. Yeah, he doesn't die. I think
Well,
to be honest, I think there's an entire comic in between. I might be wrong about this, but I think there's an entire comic, which is the Promise. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think that I might be wrong about this. But I think there's an entire comic. I think it's the Promise in between them defeating the Fire Lord and Zuko giving a speech, and them all sitting outside eating,
I
and
see.
when they're all writing. Like when they're all sitting there painting, like when
Yep.
he's painting the picture. I
Right.
might be wrong, but probably am wrong. But I think
No,
for
you're
some
probably
reason,
right.
for some reason, I think that like came to my head. I don't know why.
No, it's okay.
Um. So yeah. Real quickly, a couple other topics we'll talk about. I know one topic that I wanted to discuss is would the would the war ended without Aang? Could the war have ended without Aang? Or was the plan of the like? And we'll do the same thing with Zuko too. Could the war have ended without Aang, or was he really the hope of the world? And if not, the whole world would have burnt, and the Fire Nation would have won the war on the Comet Day. And also, was Zuko truly an important piece to defeat the Fire Lord, and help Aang defeat the Fire Lord? I'll throw both those at you.
Well, now that I originally was going to say you could have defeated the Fire Nation without Aang, but I'm actually going to reverse myself
Mm-hmm.
because no one knows about the solar eclipse until Sokka in the library, and without Aang, that does not happen.
Very true.
So,
Well,
based
well,
on
let's say this. Let's say Aang got shocked by lightning and died. So Aang died against Azula.
sure, okay,
So they already knew about that information. Now they ran away. Aang's dead, but they still have the same plan of, you know what, we can still do this without the Avatar.
the day of Black Sun would have probably, I mean, yeah, probably resulted in the same. outcome where the Fire Nation knew they were coming, um, and they have to live to fight another day. But at the same time, there's no Appa without Aang, unless they keep Appa after Aang dies, which would probably make sense. But because I was thinking like because Appa sends the young the young kids, the younger children, like to go to the Western Air Temple, and so like without Appa, they're still stuck in the Fire Nation, and they're in prison, and so they lose. But like if Appa is still there, then yeah, it ends in the same result. Um, it's just you needed to not have Azula and Tylee and May um, take take the Kyoshi Warriors face paint and makeup and clothing. You had to keep that a secret in order for it to work. I think if the secret is safe, then it could work without Aang. I do.
Yeah,
But
if
if
the secret was safe, yeah. I mean, I would say also if I mean because Appa would have obviously stayed with the group just to answer that. Like I don't think they would have been like, oh,
no, yeah,
bye
I mean,
Appa.
yeah,
After all that time of like trying to find Appa and like having that emotional attachment to Appa, they found him
no,
and he
I mean,
dies three
yeah,
days later, and they're like, all right, we're peace. Um, I will say that I think that obviously they didn't win the Day of Black Sun with Aang, so I don't think they would have won without him. But could they have won the war? And it also is interesting. What if Zuko flipped too? Like if Aang died, do you think Zuko would have still flipped? Like he might have regretted it his entire life, but he might not have flipped if Aang didn't
I
die.
I think he would have gone on his mm,
Own path, like looking for Iroh or something.
yeah, just because like he was still going through his own inner
Mm-hmm.
emotions, and so um, my take is that he would have gone on a separate journey away from his father and the Fire Nation just because he disagreed with the annihilation of the Earth Kingdom on Sozin's Comet Day Part Two. Um, and so he wouldn't have joined the gang, but at the same time, he might have
Yeah,
as at a last resort. Um, but I think there wouldn't have been as much of an attachment to take down his dad without Aang.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I think you could also say that could he have maybe tried to do it himself? Because remember, there's a line where he's like, my destiny, Aang's destiny or the Avatar's destiny is to defeat you. I have my own destiny. If
Correct.
Aang was dead, do you think he might have attacked his father and tried to take
Mm-hmm.
the throne? Because he was hypothetically next in line. Kills his father, he's the Fire Lord now.
I still say no, just because his uncle was in his head at that time. I think Iroh is still in his head, so I don't think he would have done it.
Well, you don't think he would have killed his
I don't think he
father?
would kill Ozai. No,
Okay. As in like a peaceful result.
because Iroh was in his head the entire time. He would have not done. I don't think he would have done that.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so and then real quickly, I know this isn't really much to do. Well, let's talk about you spoke about the both the eclipses
Hmm.
as well. So you want to bring that up?
Yeah, my debacle is which eclipse uh, is better in terms of the outcome. Is it the lunar eclipse
Mm-hmm.
where it benefits the waterbenders to their essentially to their peak,
Mm-hmm.
or is it the solar eclipse where it disadvantages the Fire Nation and firebenders for like 10 to 20 minutes?
I would say the lunar. Obviously, they wouldn't have attacked the Fire Nation by then because they weren't just Aang wasn't ready to. They didn't even. I mean, it would have been smart for them to attack the Fire Nation when the lunar eclipse happened because although the Fire Nation, so we saw how weak the Fire Nation was like at night during the lunar
Mm-hmm.
eclipse. I wouldn't say it gave them a negative, but the water benders were so powerful. And again, it goes back to could they've gotten the Northern Water Tribe to help them? It's like you bring what looked like about 100 troops, give or take. Now, maybe they didn't want to leave the siege at all. Like maybe they're 100% against it. But still, you bring 50 troops, Paku, a couple other, potential masters. You bring a couple waterbenders from the swamp. You bring maybe Hama, maybe not, probably not. But the question about Hama is, could she be a negative for your team? Because we know she's a positive. It's like signing a free agent wide receiver that has a big head. It's like, are they going to be negative? Do we need them? Like, I don't know if Hama would be a negative towards their team because realistically, she wants the Fire Nation to go down. She doesn't care about anything else besides that. So even if she was bloodbending, which they wouldn't have been about, and she was doing it her way, like, they might have just let her do it.
Right. And I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, it's a decent idea to have Hama on the team in regards to that. I mean, I think she would have done the team justice by fighting against the Firebenders, but when all is said and done, I think she would have like ran away and like disappeared because she knew that she was going to be in trouble afterwards, unless there was like you know a deal swap of like if you help us, we'll like lower your sentence or you won't even go to prison at all type of thing. Who knows? But I think at the end of the day, if she ended up joining the team, she would have like disappeared on her own and you know done her own business.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, even if they didn't have to make a deal because she wasn't in waterbending. She wasn't in prison for the waterbenders. She was in prison for the firebenders. Like they took her back. Like she was in Fire Nation prison. So they went and were
Correct.
like, if like Katara was like, I know someone that can help. She's not necessarily the nice, like she's not necessarily the most moral person, but she would be beneficial. And they sneak in and they sneak in Southern Raiders style, and they essentially release her. Which let's be real, they would easily be able to do it. And they're like, look, Amma, we're in 2 weeks, we're going to invade the Fire Nation during the lunar eclipse, right? Is it lunar eclipse? Lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
And like we're gonna invade the Fire Nation during the lunar eclipse. We want you to be one of our driving forces. You can run right now. If you want to run away, go ahead, go. Like give her the option. Pull Azula. Like if you want to run away and keep doing what you're doing here and taking out innocent civilizations, we're not gonna stop you. But if you want to help end this war, join us.
Mm-hmm.
And she probably would have joined. And there would have been no there would have been no there would have it would have been like water under the bridge. It's like, look, no bloodbending. Is it a full moon anyway?
A lunar,
Because
yeah, it is. I mean, it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I guess she would be able to bloodbend, but like, you almost let her do it. You're like, look, she's not killing, like no killing, but like if you got bloodbend, you got. but you know what I mean? Like what else? I mean, like what else are
Don't
you gonna
you
do?
do
It's like,
that, Hama. You know that's
yeah,
bad.
that's
No,
bad.
no.
It's like you let her bloodbend. Katara doesn't have to. It's almost like don't see it. It ain't happening, And it's like, I mean, that could have been the strategy of like attacking during the lunar eclipse. Have enough troops in the back, have maybe some people back in the siege just in case you felt like they might attack, um, and rock and roll that way. And then you bring, yeah. I mean, it's like you have a Hama, you have Katara, you have the Northern Water Tribe, you have the Swamp Benders. Obviously, you're still going to have the other people they found, like some of Jet's group, and obviously some of the Earthbenders they found, and everything like that. I think that force could have during a lunar eclipse defeat, and then when they went against the Fire Lord, like,
Because you have to time it right. You have to time the when the lunar eclipse like starts. Like you have
but
to
isn't it
know
a day? It's a whole night, right?
the whole night, but you do still have to like prepare. Like you have to do like an Admiral Zhao and like get a fleet ready, and then like invade maybe like an hour before it actually starts, maybe 30
Yeah, I mean,
minutes,
just like they
something like
did during the Day of Black Sun, the Black Sun was only what 8 minutes long or whatever they said, so they attacked before. So once the Black Sun hit, but this time they would have an entire night, so they'd have from like 8 p.m. to let's say 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 4 a.m. They would have like 10 hours. It took them
True.
all. It seemed like 45 minutes to get up that, the other time. So you wouldn't have to have a fleet either. Like, I mean, maybe a fleet as in like 10 ships.
Right.
I
And
think that could have been probably the better strategy.
yeah, and the water benders could be like Katara and have like water in pouches and bend that way. Because like
Oh yeah.
they're surrounded by water because it's the Fire Nation's an island, but like when it's the
Hmm.
inner city, you can't really bend water except
Well,
if you're in pouches.
and Hama has the ability and could help teach the ability to bend
Right.
water out of air.
Correct.
So Hama would be able to do that. I know Katara probably was able to do that as well in certain points.
Right.
And you could definitely have, barrels of water just rolled on. Yeah, I mean, they had tanks. So what's to stop you from, they had that one guy that was in a little tank and he was like wheeling rocks behind him. It's like have barrels of water. Like the only reason they didn't do that is because Katara was only waterbender because the swamp benders were behind.
Right.
They stayed behind. So to defend the ships essentially. So good strategy. Good strategy. Well, I think that's everything. I think that is everything.
Is that everything though?
Gosh. Um, yeah, I think that's everything. For this special episode, I guess we'll put this out. Put this out on the eclipse. And if you guys like this video, definitely subscribe. Watch us Wednesdays 8 a.m. is when our podcasts come out. John, do you have anything to say with your glasses?
Well, I do want to thank our subscribers and our viewers, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe below. We appreciate you.
We got a new
Thank you.
subscription overnight.
Oh,
Random person.
yes. Thank you. but,
And you're going to SteelCon, right?
Yeah,
Next weekend?
Steel City Con. I'll be there Friday through Sunday, and I will be there to see live action Sokka and live action Suki. They will be there.
Mm-hmm.
If any of you will be there, please hit me up. I'd love to chat and get to know you and talk Avatar business. And yeah, I'll be there signing autographs. No, not really, but but yeah, it'll be a good time. Can't wait. Unfortunately, Matt couldn't join me this time, but it's okay.
Nope. June,
but
what day? June 15th, we're going to be going to Comic-Con in Rhode Island.
The Anime Con, Rhode
The
Island
Anime Con.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal is to have 100. What is it? Our goal is to have 100 subscribers by then.
150.
150 subscribers by then. We kind of keep going back and forth, depending on the day, depending on how good we feel. Yeah, 150 subscribers by then. So definitely subscribe so we can hit that goal. If you're going there by any chance, awesome. If not, because there are going to be a lot of Avatar voice actors there. And follow us on Instagram so you can see pictures of SteelCon, AnimeCon, and our faces.
Yes, and just the bottom line and bottom point of this episode here, this stream of the Day of Black Sun eclipse day, is we just wish that Team Avatar would have asked the Northern Water Tribe
for help. Sometimes it's okay to ask. Sometimes it's okay to ask for help. That's the big thing here.
It's okay to ask for help.
Yep. Alrighty. Bye, Cabbage Crew.
Bye-bye.